In a move to fix their faltering economy, the state of California is opening a new escape room aptly called California. The new escape room will encompass the entirety of the state. Anyone living inside of the escape room's borders will have to pay crippling taxes and remain subject to wild regulations and public acts of degeneracy. To get the inside scoop, we talked to Paul Bettman, an escape room enthusiast who is one of the 40 million exclusive early access playtesters.
Yeah, I've actually played over 400 escape rooms, so I'm a little bit of a connoisseur, and in most of them you have to find like some kind of padlock or 4-digit codes. You have to free the mummy, or whatever the theme is. In this one, though, it's pretty different. You actually just have to find any available U-Haul at all and escape with your life.
So how was the experience overall? Did you escape? Was it fun?
No and no.
Early access reviews claim that the difficulty of just paying your bills long enough to save up for an escape makes this escape room one of the most challenging entries to the popular activity. California Governor Gavin Newsom stated, "I'm really pulling out all the stops on this project. My hopes are that it draws more people to California, so they also get stuck here and have to pay our totally ridiculous taxes that barely scratch the surface of our crippling debt brought about by our liberal social policies." Did I say all that out loud? Oopsies. Other fun challenges in the California escape room include scaling Half Dome, dodging needles on Venice Beach, eating an entire deli sub from Little Luca's in South San Francisco all by yourself, and surviving a week in LA Skid Row. Fun.
Yeah, the escape room was fun. We beat the first challenge, which was surviving the wildfires, so that was good. And then we followed the clues to find the final U-Haul, and we got there and we got the U-Haul, but then the rioters found us and burned our truck down and burned everything we own. So, I guess we're back to square one.
Although the escape room is difficult, users have also praised the extremely realistic depictions of homelessness, drug addiction, forest fires, government mismanagement, and multiple boba shops on every city block. Coming up after the break, are you looking for ways to show your solidarity with the LGBTQI+ community this Pride Month? We put together a list of the gayest things you can do to celebrate the homos. Other fun challenges include befriending an old homeless man, surfing the gnarliest wave, the 405, the 10, the 101, the 210, the 91, hippies, the Kardashians, visiting the mountains, the beach, and the desert all in one day, or simply being from Bakersfield.
Watching the world burn, watching the world burn. July 9th, 2025. Let's get into it. Wasn't that a great video up front? If we're going to get more into that, that was the Babylon Bee talking about California. The reason why I wanted to put that up front, because I thought it was funny as hell, and we'll get more into that. But I did want to show you that yesterday I was out making a video, and it was hotter than hell. It was 98 degrees with a heat factor of 106. And just to show you that I'm not lying to you, let's watch me at the end of what I thought was the end of the video. Man, I just made a long video. Well, stopped to get some water, and freaking camera had overheated. So I don't know how much I got. Rather than try to figure out where it cut off, we'll do the rest of the video over again, which is one of the dangers that you always have when you're filming out in nature like this. And we'll redo that portion of the video. But I just thought you'd find it funny that I got to record, I don't know how much of the video. And it was a good video too. I was real proud of it. All right, so here's what happened. So I was out filming for an hour in the heat, and I thought, well, this would be good because, I like to show you when I'm lost in the woods, and I think it just adds more to the video sometimes. Anyway, so I got to my watering hole, and I've been working on the video for like an hour, and I turned the camera up, or the phone, because I use the phone camera. I might as well just say camera, and it says overheated. And I was like, oh man, I guess I missed some of the video. Well, I get home and I go, well, let's see how much I got. 0. When the camera overheats, everything that has been filmed up prior to that point gets wiped out. I was like, damn, everything was lost. Now, if I ever go back out in the heat to make videos, you can make it in small clips, but that's kind of choppy and everything, and I hate doing it that way. But if we're going to get any more videos out in the forest, that's probably what we're just going to have to do. But, I just like to educate you on certain things as I learn them. The other thing I want to educate you on is a little bit of cybersecurity talk here. The reason I haven't made a video in a while is the converter, or on my power cord. All it does is step down the transform the voltage and everything. It went bad, and I had to special order a new power cord from China, which had to go through customs. It took a week to get here. And I was using the laptop to make the videos. It's an MSI Creator laptop. Now, I've got some old computers, but I hadn't updated them in a while. And boy, that launched me into a whole new project. All my backups were kind of disorganized, so I had to reorganize the backups. I had to buy a new backup device, because if you're rebuilding old computers and everything, you got to make sure everything is backed up. So it's been a freaking nightmare. And I just wanted to ask you a question. 2 of the old laptops, I could load any flavor of Linux on them. I haven't done anything with virtualization since I wrote my book, probably back in 2016. So I haven't played with Linux operating systems for quite some time. So I did some research, and so I ended up going with Ubuntu. And so that means it's just a KDE laptop, which might not mean anything to you, and I'm sorry to be boring you with this, but I'm just going to make this quick. And you can go with Ubuntu, which is the GNOME laptop, and then, of course, Linux Mint. And by the way, Ubuntu is more of a corporate shrill. So you can run some proprietary corporate software, which means that, it's not as secure or safe as you run in Mint. Mint's all open source. And I like Mint better. Don't get me wrong. I just went with Ubuntu because they're really old laptops. And by the way, I had some problems loading Mint on those old laptops, but Ubuntu went on no problem. So anyway, maybe the device supports better for old hardware with Ubuntu. But let me know what you think. I want to hear if you use Mint or Linux. Let's get into that. So the first story here is Gavin Newsom is preparing for a presidential run. Now you know why I played that Babylon Bee video up front. Can you imagine him running for president? Democrats are dumb enough to vote for him, though. I bet he'll probably get the Democrat well, actually, they don't even have a primary. He'll just get nominated as king of the Democrat Party. You got to admit, he's kind of a handsome fellow in a certain way. And when he talks and everything, when he's not spewing nonsense, he's kind of a likable guy. And then, of course, you got Kamala Harris is reportedly preparing to run for the governor of California. And they'll vote her in, man. I guarantee it. Oh, my God. It's like that Karen Bass down in Los Angeles. Oh, my God. Does that woman, is she dumber than a bag of stones? She's a Marxist, communist lunatic, burned down half of Los Angeles, is all for the riots. By the way, there's some ICE raids that are taking big time in Los Angeles right now. And we're going to get more into the ICE raids here in just a minute. But I did want to, let's put up a picture of, actually, let's get more into bashing Democrats. So this is Lindy Lee on Nancy Pelosi and San Francisco. And I just wanted to reinforce, how crazy Democrats are, because they keep voting for Nancy Pelosi. Good God. When she's dead, they'll vote her corpse in as senator. Here's the video.
The things that we discussed in this episode and the previous one about San Francisco being the incubator of shitty ideas.
Yes.
Last episode we talked about speaking with American men, the Democrats' idea of catering to the white demographic. Now we have grading for equity coming from San Francisco as well. Do we really think that a city with drug addicts on every other street corner, that should be our bastion of reason? I don't think so.
And
with
why
Nancy
do we have
Pelosi
people...
at the helm?
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, Nancy Pelosi and her gang of woke DEI liberals should not be the cultural
Can I say one
authority.
thing about that? You bring up Nancy Pelosi. What a brilliant point.
All right, so that was Lindy Lee on Nancy Pelosi. So now let's get into the next video. And by the way, this is, and she talks about confession through projection. You know, whenever a Democrat calls you a racist, that just means they're a racist. If they call you a white supremacist, they're more than likely a white supremacist. Okay, it was kind of like that Trump case when what was that attorney out of I can't remember her name, Jasmine, I think, something like that. Anyway, when she was prosecuting Trump for overvaluing his Mar-a-Lago estate, turns out she had done the same thing. Remember, confession through projection. And when a Democrat lips are moving, if they're not confessing through projection, they're lying. All Democrats are liars. Just depend on that. And if you're MAGA or if you're a Republican, they just assume, see, you did. Let's watch the next video right now.
Hear me out on this. With Democrats, every condemnation is a projection and a confession of their own sins. So, and one thing that I will never understand, Democrats work hard as hell for these illegal aliens and for foreigners, but they don't give a shit about Americans here at home. What about us? What about the American people? What about the people in flyover states? What about people in the Bible Belt? Why not care about underprivileged American kids who have trouble getting an education, who have trouble putting food on the table? What about them? Why do you care about so much about people from far-flung areas around the world sending billions of dollars to the farthest corners of the world, but you don't give a damn about children here at home?
All right, wasn't that great on confession through projection? Now we're going to get into the Epstein. I've got the picture up of Pam Bondi. I just thought this was great. I just want to talk about it so that you can look at the picture for just a second. But you remember Men in Black when they would flash you and you had to forget about everything? I just thought that was great. By the way, that picture was put up by Robert Barnes. I got to give attribution where it means. So then I wanted to, everybody on X right now is speculating about what really took place with, or why they're suppressing the Epstein stuff. I'm not going to go into all of that. Obviously, I don't have any connections in the federal government or can tell you why, but Matt Gaetz did. Let's watch Matt Gaetz, and I think this is the best explanation of what really took place and why they shut down the whole release of the Epstein information. Let's watch that.
You got a 99%
on Epstein. Bill Barr is the one that needs to be called in to give sworn testimony on what happened there at Bureau of Prisons, because that is not that. There's just no way that the story you're getting is the real story there. No freaking way, and Bill Barr knows it.
I think most people believe that, right? And like, it's like no way that that's.
I actually think it was I actually think that on Epstein, it was a foreign government that took him out. I don't think it was a domestic enterprise.
Really?
I do. I'm not going to say which one, but I don't think it was domestic inspired to take out of him. I think that was a foreign operation, government sponsored.
So foreign operation took out Epstein inside of our prison.
Yes.
So they must have been allowed to.
Oh, I think it was in concert with people in our government.
Wow.
But not at like some, low level guard getting bribed kind of way.
Yeah.
At a state to state level.
Wow. So that's probably a lot of partied interests in keeping that under wraps.
You better believe it. Weapon systems at play, global deals at play.
Interesting. You have evidence to back that up?
I just am positing it as a theory.
Wow.
All right, wasn't that interesting? And there's a lot of people on X right now that want Matt Gaetz to be, what is it called, retrofitted or whatever the term is. In other words, Trump can appoint him as the Attorney General and replace Pam Bondi for a certain period of time, even without a vote from Congress. Here, I'll try to get that term up if I can think of it. But anyway, now we want to talk about the Texas flood. Now, I'm not going to just talk about the same stuff you hear on the news or anything like that. I just want to give you some numbers so that you can kind of hear what the hell took place. Now, you know that there's been, let's get into that later. So it was 100 billion gallons that fell. Now, a lot of people are speculating that this was weather manipulation by the government or by maybe a corporation or even by like the Bill Gates Foundation, okay, that caused this storm to happen, okay? Because if you haven't, I mean, weather manipulation has been proven 100%. It is taking place across the United States, or maybe even across the planet. We know that we did it in Vietnam, okay? So, and that was many years ago. And think about much more advanced. And we've seen the chemtrails going across the sky. Hell, I've made videos where I've showed you the chemtrails even here in Florida. I don't know why, nobody can shut it down. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why we want to manipulate the weather, but how else can you explain this? That is 12 to 13 inches in just a few hours. 12 to 13 inches of rain. I've seen it here in Florida when it's been 2 or 3 or 4 inches of rain, like during maybe a hurricane or a massive thunderstorm. I don't even think it gets up that high. And there's major flooding all over the place here. Can you imagine 12 to 13 inches? And it was also reported that this was a once in a 500-year event. Once in 500 years. You can't tell me that weather manipulation's not taking place. Oh, that cybersecurity guy, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's facts, baby. That's all I got to say about it. So, and then here's one more statistic for you. That is more water than flows over Niagara Falls in a day. The latest, and I hate to give you these numbers, the latest death toll is 109 with 100 or more missing. Now imagine that's gone up since you're watching this video. So anyway, but I just wanted, Lindy Lee says it's best about what Democrats, they're trying to capitalize on this politically, saying that Trump didn't fund the weather thing and that the weather, by the way, the weather reports or the weather warnings did go out. And I am kind of shocked that nobody at these campgrounds, because I don't know about you, I always have the radio on at the campground. Now, I didn't write down the time and when this took place. So maybe everybody was asleep or just getting up in the morning and they hadn't cut their radios on. But the weather reports went out, and I'm surprised. Usually it'll flash across your cell phone, and I can't believe nobody in these campgrounds have their cell phones on. So I don't know. Maybe there is something to say and they didn't get bored. But let's watch Lindy Lee saying that right-wing Christians that died in the flood, these are, anyway, let's just watch that.
Mark, good morning. That's exactly right. And it's not just Senator Chris Murphy, actually. I don't know if you saw, but ex-Houston official, a Democrat, Sade Perkins, literally said that this happened because this camp was an all-white Christian conservative camp. And then proceeded to blame the parents of these girls for raids on illegal immigration. I just can't believe it. And she doubled down when called out on her cruelty. So this is the Democratic Party today. Instead of honoring these lives and also doing everything we can to find them, they use this as a political attack line. When these families, these parents are devastated, their hearts have been yanked out of their chests, and they still have the nerve to attack and desecrate their memories like this. I just have no words. And then they wonder why the American people have turned away from them.
Yeah.
Wasn't that terrible? That's who Democrats are. Terrible people. Terrible people. All right, so we're going to get into another event that took place. I thought I had more on Epstein. Well, I guess we're going to get into Epstein later. Anyway, I don't know. I think we've said, well, we did the Matt Gaetz. Yeah, that's right. All right, so this is how ABC News reports the event on July 4th, the shooting of the ICE officers. And we're going to point out some things as I read this. So federal authorities revealed that new information Monday on the 4th of July shooting outside of the Prairie Land ICE detention facility in Johnson County, which resulted in the Alvarado city police officer being shot and injured. Okay, we're going to get more into that. During a press conference Monday in Fort Worth, Nancy Larson, acting as U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas, described the encounter as an organized ambush carried out by armed individuals dressed in black military-like clothing who reportedly first detonated fireworks outside the federal facility. Larson said 10 to 12 people shot off the fireworks to draw ICE personnel outside the facility. It was a planned ambush with the intent to kill ICE correction officers, said Larson. Make no mistake, this was not a peaceful protest. it was indeed an ambush. Now, I want to point out some of the wording in this, that these were just people in black military-like clothing. Boy, that could be anybody, couldn't it? Could be Iranian terrorists, maybe it's some white supremacists. I bet Democrats would love it to be white supremacists. Could have been, could have been Hispanics. Maybe it was some Asian people from China. Boy, we don't know. We don't know who it was. Just sounds like, they were making believe that they were soldiers. Let's see what else the wording in here. The police officer being shot and injured. Boy, he was just shot and injured. Maybe it just grazed him a little bit, like Trump, when it grazed the ear just a little bit. Maybe it just kind of hit and went through some flesh somewhere. But he was shot and injured. Doesn't sound very serious at all, does it? I don't know. And then, of course, let's see if there's anything else I want to point out in here. 10 to 12 people shot off fireworks to draw ICE personnel. Okay, that's good to know. All right, so anyway, I'm just telling you to look at some of the wording in this thing. All right, so let's get into the actual what took place. And this is from Andy Nego. Alleged members of a North Texas Antifa terrorist cell accused of carrying out the attempted murder of federal officers at a shooting terrorist attack at the ICE facility on the 4th of July in Alvarado, Texas. One local police officer was shot in the neck and survived. The group was armed with multiple rifles, pistols, body armor, escape vehicles, radios, and other. Multiple members of the cell are confirmed trans. Ooh, boy, there's a lot of details there that wasn't in that ABC report, right? Yeah, shot in the neck. Terrorists. Oh, my God. And then, of course, I'm going to put this up just so you can look at it, and we'll read a couple of these. And then I just, because I don't want to sit here and, you got Elizabeth Soto of Fort Worth, Marcia Rita of Fort Worth, Ina Suto of Fort Worth. You can read the rest there. Let's put up the second list of terrorists, the bottom row from far to the left. And we're going to get the picture here in just a minute. Actually, let's, because I want you to see these names. Bradford Morris, trans, of Dallas. Cameron Arnold, trans name. Autumn Hill of Dallas. Or Megan, I forgot the first one, Megan Morris. Joy Gibson of Dallas. And then you can look at the rest. Now, let's get the picture of these guys up. Does this look like a crazy bunch of people? I mean, does this look normal, like normal people to you? I mean, come on. I got the picture up right now. What do you think? And I'm sure ABC News didn't put this picture up nowhere. Yeah, that's how your mainstream media reports on things. So I wanted to add in, if you've watched my last video before everything went haywire as far as, and by the way, the weather here in Florida, I mean, I don't tell you what, we've had thunderstorms every single day other than yesterday, so I haven't been able to get out and try to make a video. That's another reason that, by the way, I don't know about you, but when thunderstorms are happening and everything, that's the best time to be sitting at your desk working on stupid stuff on the computers. Otherwise, when the weather's good, I want to be outside and I want to be doing things, and that's why I make the videos outside. But anyway, at the beginning of that video, I put the alligator ice video, and I chopped it off. And by the way, I was really tired. I just wanted to get it up because Trump was going to alligator Alcatraz, and so I said, well, I got to get this up right now. But I did a re-rendition of it. This is my tribute to the ICE officers that were attacked. Let's watch that now. All right, it's even good the second time around, in my opinion. All right, so here's another thing that's going on. So we got Bremen is under FBI criminal investigation, and Comey is being investigated. Now, I don't know what that means. Why is Bremen under criminal investigation and Comey is just being investigated? I mean, it seems to me when Comey threatened the life of Trump with 8647, that seems like a criminal offense to me. I mean, I don't know about you, but I bet if I threatened President Trump with going to kill him or even a member of Congress, I bet the FBI would be at my door knocking it down, and I'd be in handcuffs going to jail, or you would. But this is a little factoid. I didn't realize this, the criminal referral came from the FBI, where Brennan was the director. Now, isn't that interesting? He's got some enemies at the CIA. Came from the CIA, where Brennan was director. The CIA doesn't turn in their own unless they really pissed some people off. So Brennan, he must have rode roughshod over some people at the CIA. And then the FBI is calling their actions a possible conspiracy, you think? A possible conspiracy. Oh, yeah, right. And then the Steele dossier, paid for by Hillary Clinton, is at the center of it all. So why isn't Hillary Clinton under criminal investigation? I guess she's above the law. Oh, if you're a Democrat, nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. Oh, man. Hold on. Hate that shit. It's another spam call. I got to start blocking numbers. All right. So let's keep going here. All right. So this was an old video by Tulsi Gabbard talking about John Brennan. Talk about perfect timing. Let's watch that.
The mob that stormed the Capitol on January 6th to try to stop Congress from carrying out its constitutional responsibilities were behaving like domestic enemies of our country. But let's be clear. The John Brennans, Adam Schiffs, and the oligarchs in big tech who are trying to undermine our constitutionally protected rights and turn our country into a police state with KGB-style surveillance are also domestic enemies and much more powerful and therefore dangerous than the mob that stormed the Capitol. Now, John Brennan said,
So I know looking forward that the members of the Biden team who have been nominated or have been appointed are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas, where they germinate in different parts of the country and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
Now, President Biden, I call upon you and all members of Congress from both parties to denounce these efforts by the likes of Brennan and others to take away our civil liberties that are endowed to us by our Creator and guaranteed in our Constitution. If you don't stand up to these people now, then our country will be in great peril.
All right, so that was Tulsi Gabbard on John Brennan. Now I'm going to do, I don't know if I'll get to it today, but I'm going to do a separate video on Gaza. All right, because a lot of people don't like to hear about Gaza in my videos, so you can just not watch that video. And but I do want to talk about it just briefly because I think this is horrible, and I'm going to talk about it again in my Gaza video. So what Israel has done is they set up Palestinian food traps. And so this is kind of like, the best way I can describe this is baiting a deer. If you ever hunt deer, one of the things you can do is put out a bait pile. And you can put corn stalks in there, and there's some other things that deer like. And so when the deer come in to eat from the bait pile, you can just shoot them. And what's the sport in that? So that's been actually outlawed in a number of states, especially a hunting state like Michigan. I'm pretty sure it's against the law in Michigan. And in fact, I had a buddy of mine, a funny story. If he saw, because he was a hunter. He was a hunter from way back. If he saw a bait pile, what he would do is he would drop his pants and he would crap all over that bait pile. And then he was crazy, man. He would take his hand, fill it with the crap, and just smear it on the trees so that no deer, because they smell that, they're not coming anywhere near that bait pile. And that's what he thought of the people that use bait piles. And I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I don't know why he just didn't report them, because if you ever watch Eshkanaba in the Moonlight, you'll learn about the I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, you got to watch that movie. It was a great movie. So anyway, so what they're doing is they're baiting the Palestinians, and then when they come in to get the food, they just shoot them. So,
These are death traps, essentially using these hubs of food to try to lure starving Palestinians to be shot at. It's extraordinary. And the revelations or the confirmations from Israeli soldiers only just demonstrates the sheer brutality of what has gone on here. I think we need measures to be taken against the Israeli government, further sanctions to utterly force and compel them to stop this. This is not good enough. I think there's all sorts of reasons why sanctions haven't happened. Obviously, the United States is absolutely in lockstep with Israel, barring the occasional spat between Trump and Netanyahu. The European Union is divided. We see Hungary, one or two other states, very favorable towards Israel. Netanyahu has worked very hard on those relationships over the years precisely to avoid a unanimous European Union position. The British government was starting to ratchet up a bit of pressure prior to Israel's aggression on Iran. And it remains to be seen if it's prepared to take further actions as well. But it needs really concerted efforts from all these actors, others including Canada and Australia as well, must be brought into the equation. It needs real determined positions from these leaders.
And that makes people like Ted Cruz and Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Mike Huckabee, Ben Shapiro, Todd Stearns. I mean, they're happy. We've got more efficient means of killing the Palestinians. And also, they've herded them now down into Rafah where they can hit them easier because they got them in a more consolidated place so they can bomb them with the 2,000-pound bombs. And then an Israeli official just came out and said, one way or another, we're getting rid of the Palestinians. So they're either going to be pushed out into the desert where they'll die of heat exhaustion, or they're going to just kill them all. So I don't know. A lot of Christian nationalists are really happy about that, especially these people like Mark Levin and Ted Cruz and everybody else. So what do we have here recently? So we got Netanyahu. I don't know if he's still here. He might have left today, but it was his third trip to the White House since January 20th. That's more than any other world leader or even representative has been in the White House other than Israel. So don't tell me that Trump is not a bitch of Israel. Kind of like Biden was a bitch of China. Biden was a Chinese asset. I'm convinced 100% of that. Now, do I know? Do I have the evidence for that? No, I just feel it in my soul. So, and then of course, the most outrageous thing was Netanyahu sucking up to Trump, said, "I've nominated you for the Nobel Peace Prize." Here's the guy that's sending. And by the way, we renewed our weapons shipments to Ukraine, even though we're running low on everything, because he cut them off for a little bit, and then he waffled on that, and then he came back and said, "No, we're going to continue shipping them." I don't see where it's going to do no damn good. I'm watching. We're going to get to that in the Ukraine situation at the end of the video. So anyway, we'll hang on for that. So, and then of course in the Gaza video, I'm going to show you how the West Bank is also being demolished. So a little advertisement for my Gaza video. You might want to watch that because I had to take multiple clips and I didn't want this video to get too long because some of those videos are like 5 minutes long. All right, let's get to the next story here. So, yeah, this was interesting, and we'll put this in the Hamas video. So we had a well-planned Hamas ambush. So you can see Hamas, I mean, if you're pro-Palestinian, Hamas is still fighting back. I don't see how much longer they can, to be honest, but anyway. And was executed in multiple stages. First, a blast struck the Israeli tank. Second, third hit the rescue teams. And then a final explosion, and then gunmen opened fire on the survivors attacking Israeli soldiers, or the IDF. After the ambush, there were reports of heavy gunfire at the scene. And I got a video on that. Let's watch that now. So what that video was, that was just it's helicopters. Footage shows the Israeli jets and choppers circling over northern Gaza, and that the source of that video is Al Jazeera. So it's just 11 seconds, so I went ahead and put that in here, and we'll add that into the Gaza video too. All right, so I wanted to talk about the America First Party, which Elon Musk has said he's going to do, but I've got some details on that you might not know. One of the things is, and everybody's saying, well, that's just stupid. No third party, like Ross Perot or anybody like that. Nobody's ever won anything. But Elon's going about this real smart. What he's going to do is he's going to target a few select Senate seats and House seats. Now, a lot of people are saying that's going to be in the swing states, but I don't think Elon's made an announcement of where he's going to do that. And with his money, he could get an America First candidate. And what he's saying is he only needs about 5 in the House and maybe 3 or 4 in the Senate, and those America First candidates could control the legislation from that point on. You don't need but a few votes. And so that's how Elon's going about this. He's not going to run a presidential candidate. Okay, so he's not going to run against J.D. Vance or whoever the Democrats come up with, Gavin Newsom. so it's not, it's just a very small target. And you know what? If it's depends on, well, here in Florida, more than likely I'll have a good Republican candidate to vote for. But I tell you what, if you live in a like a North Carolina or some other place like our Democrat state, you might want to consider America First a vote for there, especially for the Senate and the House of Representatives and the Senate. That's all he's going to run. I got 2 videos on this. So this is his first video on what we could do if the America First Party fails. Here's Warren Buffett on how we can get term limits.
These problems are problems that have built up over decades, and there hasn't been a Congress that's been mature enough or a president that's been mature enough to take this head on.
I can end the deficit in 5 minutes. You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Yeah. Now you've got the incentives in the right place, right? So it's capable of being done, and they're trying to use the incentive now that we're going to blow your brains out, America, in terms of your debt worthiness over time, and that's being used as a threat. A more effective threat would be just to say, if you guys can't get it done, we'll get some other guys to get it done.
So Elon obviously posted that video because you saw his picture down on the right. So I thought that was cool. And then here's the advertisement by Elon for the America First Party. Just saying that we need a restoration of common sense. Let's watch that video.
What we need is the restoration of common sense. We want safe cities. We want secure borders, sensible spending, freedom of speech, respect for the Constitution. The people want change, and we're going to give it to them.
All right, so now we're going to get into Ukraine for just a minute, and that'll be the end of the video. So I got the first one I want to start with. Before I get to talking about things, I want you to look at some of the graves in Ukraine. Let's watch that. All right, so that was just a brief video of them burying Ukrainians. Now, I've had videos in the past where I've showed you just massive field. I mean, you talk about Arlington Cemetery being big. No, these Ukrainian cemeteries just go on for miles and miles. And so, from what I understand, a lot of those graves have more than one person in them. And so let's give you the new numbers. Now, I've been telling you that the numbers were a lot higher. And so Douglas McGregor, now he's got contacts. I don't, okay, but I'm just going to give you the numbers. And I've given you these numbers, but nobody wants to speculate. He only gives you the numbers when he knows them, well, he feels for sure. So we've got 1.7 million dead Ukrainian soldiers. Now, always take triple of that to get the number of casualties. So you're probably looking at 6 million casualties, somewhere around in there. And then, of course, in Russia, right now, it's between 100 and 200,000. It could be as high as 300,000 dead. Now, you triple that, so you get up into like 700,000 to 800,000 casualties. So Russia's taking some damage, too. And don't get me wrong, they're taking more damage now because the summer assault is going on. Boy, they're hitting Ukraine with everything. I mean, 500 drones a day, missiles. And then, of course, Trump says he's got some big plan that they're going to launch 1,000 drones into Russia, into Moscow. Maybe they got them. Who knows? Trump's giving everything. He's giving our entire arsenal to Ukraine. And so it's Trump's war now. It's not Biden's war. All right, so let's get into, Ukraine, Perovsk is about to fall. Pokrovsk, excuse me. I have a hard time pronouncing these Russians. Anyway, I'll just read to you what I've got here. So this is a key logistics hub tucked away in the safety of the Donetsk Oblast. Once home to 60,000 people, with the Russians estimated to be the Russians are about 8 kilometers away from the city. Now, as of reading this, I mean, I'm telling you, they're advancing every day, and there's another town nearby that they're getting ready to take. So they'll soon be in Pokrovsk. And by the way, after they take across, there's nothing all the way to the Dnieper. The Ukraine defenses are gone. So I don't see where Ukraine is going to be able to stop them. Anyway, thousands are fleeing the city each week. Russian artillery at FPG Jones can now reach across, already affecting the city's capacity as a logistics hub for the Ukraine army, experts say. And this will be a major propaganda blow to Ukraine. You notice how Ukraine says, oh, we just need more weapons. We're doing just fine against the Russians. Just keep giving us weapons, keep giving us money so that we can buy our mansions. And by the way, a lot of the Ukraine officials, their families are living out of Ukraine, from what I understand. So anyway, minimal air defense. But let's watch the military summary channel on really what's going on. Just a brief synopsis of what's going on the front.
That it would send additional defensive weapons to Ukraine at Trump's order. The statement was published on the resources of the U.S. Department of Defense. So this is very important because now we see that the United States of America and personally Trump were forced to change their opinion regarding sending weapons to Ukraine, and most of all and most likely they made this decision based on the intelligence information about the situation on the ground. I would like to remind you that several days ago the Russians launched their major offensive operation in the Sumy region, in the Kharkiv area, in the area of the city of Siversk, Konstantinovsk, Pokrovsk, the South Donetsk direction, of course the Zaporozhye direction. And during the previous several days, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly. Basically, the Russians are about to break through Ukraine defense completely, answer the operational space, which will allow the Russians to move deep inside of the territory of Ukraine, almost till the river of Dnipro. So that is why the Western countries are trying to stabilize the situation by sending weapons to Ukraine. We need to understand the important thing that this is not the process when, let's say, Trump made a decision and just now, these seconds, the weapons of the United States of America begin moving from US states towards Ukraine. I would like to remind you that several days ago, the states stopped sending weapons to Ukraine from the area of Rzeszów, the territory of Poland. So it's just several kilometers from the border of Ukraine, and most likely by the time you're going to watch this video, the Ukraine will start receiving first weapons that they will be able to use along the line of combat contact. So there are going to be no timing gap between this, between the announcement and the first weapons enter the territory of Ukraine.
Okay. All right. So that's it for the video. So I do encourage you to watch the next video. And by the way, if you didn't know, I started the Florida Man News Network. That's FloridaMNN. Okay, and I'll be posting this video there. So for now, I'll be still on cybersecurity, that cybersecurity guy on YouTube. I'll be posting both places. And then also I post at the Burn on Rumble. And then, of course, I'm that cybersec guy on Odyssey. Now, why don't I open up a new channel on Odyssey? I don't know, because I want to get back into cybersecurity at some point. But I enjoy making these videos like this and giving you a bunch of facts that you didn't know. Peace out. Stay free. I hope you enjoyed the video.